largest banks. As I've read your comments in the past, it seems to me that you support somewhat larger capital requirements for mega banks, but that you seem to think where we're headed, about 9.5% under Basel III, which is about 2.5% more for the mega banks, is roughly appropriate. Is that a fair summary or not?
Well, there's an international standard which has a gradated, it's not the same for every big bank. It starts at virtually zero for the medium-sized banks and then goes, increases up to the largest banks. But it's based on some formulas and some calculations that try to establish parity across banks around the world.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is that high, to the extent that imposes higher capital standards on the largest U.S. banks, do you think those higher standards are good enough to ensure stability in the future and protection in the future?
I think they're very useful, very important. Basel III in general is going to increase everybody's capital and increase the quality of capital, and this will mean that the largest banks have even additional capital. But it's not just capital, it's also going to be the market discipline that comes from orderly liquidation authority, stronger supervision, liquidity requirements, and so on. I think it's extremely important that we address too big to fail, and this is one way to make banks take into account that their own size does impose a cost on the rest of society and make them respond to that.
Beyond the path we're on, do you think we should be looking at higher capital requirements for the biggest banks?
Well, we'll continue to have international discussions. It's been our approach to try to have capital requirements that are broadly consistent with the international standards. And these numbers were based on calculations that drew from the crisis. But we're always open to further discussions, and we'll see how effects of the higher capital work through the credit system as we go forward. We're phasing this in relatively slowly, as you know, so we'll get a chance to see what the impact is on banks and credit costs.
My time is up, but I'd encourage you to look at that, and I'd encourage you to place safety and stability ahead of, I understand the desire for uniformity across the globe, but I don't think it should trump what is best for
You're looking
security.
for higher capital requirements.
Yes.
Senator Kaka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.